today, so you're going to come prepared for the discussion. Presentation.
Tell me what you guys are products, which would get us closer to our estimation. Okay, good.
So you'll notice also in the video that kids are passing along a ruler while they're talking. I met with a group one day because they were talking over each other, interrupting each other, and having a hard time being part of a group and talking respectfully to each other. So I sat down with them and I shared with them, what about we have an object? And then one of the children in that group said, hey, isn't that like having a talking stick? And I'm like, well, tell us about that. And she shared that having a talking stick means you have an object in your hand and the person that has the object in the hand gets to talk. And when they're done, the other group members can raise their hand and then that person will pass the talking stick on to the next person. Sometimes as teachers, we have to take the back seat and let kids share their ideas because kids have fabulous ideas and they are good thinkers. And if we constantly are doing all the talking, then they are not able to share those ideas. And I truly believe they feel more valued in a classroom if their ideas are shared. So the 4 C's are a big part of education today, and I always try to incorporate that in every activity that I plan. Book clubs is an ongoing activity that lasts for 3 or 4 weeks, so we will cover all of the 4 C's. But in this particular lesson, we were focusing mainly on communication and some collaboration. So the kids were communicating with each other, talking to each other, sharing their ideas and their thoughts about the books they were reading. But they were also collaborating towards the end. They were deciding what chapters needed to be read next. They were deciding what characters they were going to pick for an activity I assigned yesterday. And some of them were also talking about how they were going to get a chapter read today and finished by today and who was going to read and when they were going to read and that kind of thing. So mainly communication for today, but also some collaboration.
So the reason that I do collaborative grouping and cooperative grouping so early in the year is because I love doing projects with my kids, and so I have found that the earlier I train them to do this, the more it spawns ideas later on in the year. Last year, I was doing a read aloud book with my class, and it was a historical fiction book, and they became so excited about this book and the content that they decided on their own that they wanted to do a research project on the different historical events that were happening in the book. And that was not part of my lesson plans, but they were so excited about it and they wanted to learn more about it. And then that happened again during 3rd quarter with the science unit that we were doing then. That's what I want for them to learn. Yes, they have to learn the 4th grade curriculum, but I really want for them to be able to take it and go with it and learn more from there, because that's how they're going to learn in life and discover things in life. I walk away from groups for 2 reasons. A, because I have to keep track of the other groups and what they're doing and making sure that they're staying on task, or if they're struggling with something, to give them some clues. But I also don't stay with the group because I'm afraid I'm going to be tempted to solve it for them, and I think they are going to expect me to solve it for them. And so lots of times what I'll do is I'll say to them, by the time I come back, I want to see that you have blah, blah, blah. Or if I'll be back to you guys, try this, like what we had talked about. But the biggest reason why is because I don't want to stay there and solve it for them. They have to work together to figure it out. Another thing that I like to do with my students after an experiment is over, especially in the beginning of the year when we are practicing these skills of working together, is when we are finished, we evaluate as a group how we have worked together. And we'll write down like some of the things that worked well, and then we will work on too what we need to do better as a group. And then the next time we work as a group, I will keep that up on the board and I'll say to them, okay, today we're practicing whatever skill it is, whether it be making sure they take turns to speak or listening to one another. But I have found that when I do that, the kids are more invested in the grouping as well, because they are actually saying, this works, Mrs. Beard, this doesn't work, or I think this is how we can be better. Another advantage of having students work in groups together is that it allows me a real quick formative assessment because I do hop around from group to group so often. And if there's a specific thing that I want to assess for, whether it be how is this electromagnet working or why is this electric circuit working, I can ask each kid really quick to explain to me how it works. And I can tell right then and there who has it and who doesn't have it, who has the vocabulary, who doesn't have the vocabulary, who can extend the thinking even further. So that's another tool. And then you don't have papers to grade. You can just assess right from there.